What's going on, everybody? So today we are talking about the fastest level 1 to 70 guide with the Challenge Rift Cache for Season 28. Now, this isn't going to be a speed run guide, meaning I'm not speed running here. I'm giving you the tools and the general information that you need to know for every class. I'll be doing it on Necro because that's what I like to play here. But what we're going to be doing is giving you the steps, what you need to do at certain points. If you guys want to check out a speedrun guide, I will actually have that on the channel here in the next couple of days on how fast I did it with the Challenge Rift Cache. Maybe it's super fast, maybe it's not. You guys will have to check out by subbing to the channel. With that being said, let's dive into this 1 to 70 guide. All right, so first off here, we are going to need to do the Challenge Rift. That is the first thing you're going to want to do before you do anything in this game. You're going to load up Diablo 3 and do the Challenge Rift. Now, fortunately, I actually cannot do the Challenge Rift here on the PTR. And the reason for that is, well, we don't have access to the Challenge Rift. There's not a weekly Challenge Rift on the PTR, but that's the first thing you're going to want to do. So you're going to load up game settings, do the Challenge Rift, which is going to be right behind me, right there. And you're going to finish that, and then you're going to get the Challenge Rift cache. As soon as you get that Challenge Rift cache, then you can enter the game. And we're going to start here. The Necro, again, based on whatever class you have, you might want to tune down the difficulty. Necro is particularly really good at leveling, so I do Torment 2, but if you find it to be too difficult, or if you're on a softcore character, you might just want to jump into Torment 2 as well, because it might be, well, you're not afraid of dying, so you can just try it, and if it doesn't work, then oh well. So we log into the game, we've done our Challenge Rift, we're logging in, and we're going to claim that Challenge Rift cache. So we're logging in here, and now we have our Challenge Rift cache. I like to head over to Act 5, West March in the Survivor's Enclave, because we have everything really, really close to what we need. Open the Challenge Rift cache, boom. What do we get from this? Well, we get quite a few blood shards, which is actually going to help us gamble a little bit. We get 35 Death's Breaths, 15 of each of the bounty material, and an assortment of crafting materials. Now, it's important to actually note these materials, because if we're trying to be as realistic as possible, we need to figure out how many things can we actually craft before we go over the limit. That way I give you guys the most accurate estimate. Okay, so we have 126 Veil Crystals, 357 Arcane Dust, and 363 reusable parts. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and pick up everything that we can claim here. Obviously, I can't pick up the blood shards, but that's not a big deal. We will use the blood shards a little bit later on. After we've acquired our resources, now we head over to the vendor and our followers, and we potentially craft. Now, the crafting thing isn't very expensive, but you may want to rethink it depending on whether or not you want a full set of armor, because you might be a little short. Now, in terms of follower, depending on what class you're playing, could use this trick, or it might be a little tough to use. But basically, you can go ahead and claim the 2 weapons that are not part of your main class weapon. Meaning, if, for example, melee class, I like to use spears or whatever, I can pick up the bow and the dagger. And then if I'm, for example, a demon hunter or whatever, I can pull up these 2 classes. Although it might be tricky to actually beat it. The reason for this is that level 11, your follower is going to upgrade their weapon. So we don't want to take the Enchantress weapon here, especially if you're like a wizard or necro, because at level 11, it's going to upgrade. So we're going to take these weapons, we're going to equip the one that we use, and then we're going to salvage the other 2. Okay, so salvage the other 2. This is very, very important because we are going to need these parts most likely. Oftentimes you'll run out of parts later on to craft. Again, it only takes a couple seconds, so I'd recommend that you go ahead and do that. If you get a lot of reusable parts, maybe you don't necessarily need to. But with that, after you've acquired your follower weapon, you've gone ahead and you're ready to spend all your gold, spend all your resources, you're going to head over to the merchants. Again, this is why I say Act 5, because they're right here. Right here, Ruthie, the fence, and over here, Delilah. And you can see here, we can actually pick up some armor, which is what we're going to want to do, right? We're just going to run through here and pick up basically one of everything, equip it. And there's actually a setting here in the game where you can actually go ahead and auto equip. So for example here, right here, auto equip items if you have an empty slot. I'd recommend that you apply that because, well, if you don't happen to be fast on the inventory, it'll automatically equip slots that you don't already have, which is kind of nice. And you can see I can't unequip it. But then we have another set and we can compare the items. For example, if I find an item over here on the left-hand side that's a little bit better, then I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. But it has to be meaningfully better. You can easily check this pretty quickly. This one is decently better, so I'll go ahead and take that as well. And again, after we get that, we're gonna head over to the blacksmith, salvage the rest of our materials. Again, it only takes really quickly, although we cannot salvage the vendor items. And then we're gonna go ahead and forge some weapons. Now, depending on what class you are, again, this is going to change because, for example, on the Demon Hunter, you wanna go with a little bit of a different map, a little bit of a different strategy. At the same time, you also are going to need to craft some weapons desperately because you're not gonna get that level 11 follower weapon potentially because it's very difficult to do that really early part of the Demon Hunter. But for example, for Necro here, we can actually craft the base version of whatever weapon that we're using. Again, it could be a two-handed scythe for the Necro. It can be a bow for the Demon Hunter. It can be a, I don't know, fist weapon for the Monk. It could be a mace for the Crusader. Whatever it is, you're going to craft the highest damage level 5 weapon. Now, this is required level 1. That's because I've actually gone ahead and used the cube already, or not the cube, the altar, and bought that specific no level requirement thing, so I don't see the level requirement. But this actually requires level 5, so we're gonna go ahead and pick that up and we're gonna save it in our inventory for when we actually reach level 5 because it's gonna help us on our leveling process. After we've done all of that, we're gonna go ahead and immediately head to Act 1 and go to the altar and actually acquire the kill streak bonus. So you're gonna run over to the altar here and acquire this kill streak bonus. This is very important for season 28. This is going to double the kill streak timer and double the rewards that we're acquiring from kill streaks. That's incredibly important. Okay, so we're going to acquire that as soon as possible before we do any sort of leveling. Then once we've gotten that, now we can talk about going to certain maps to level and doing certain things. Now, again, depending on what class you are, I would suggest oftentimes it's actually not a bad idea to potentially go to the ruins of Secheron on some classes to immediately go for the cube because of how pitiful your AoE damage is and the ability to actually keep up the kill streaks, right? That is actually not a bad strategy for some classes, like potentially the Crusader, like potentially the Demon Hunter, and things like that. Other than that, there's specifically one map that we're going to want to do for the majority of classes here, and that is going to be the Temple. Okay, in Act 2, the Temple of Firstborn, it drops so many of these insects that you can kill and acquire a ton of kill streaks from, as well as monsters that you can just keep up the kill streaks. You can usually get around a 400 kill streak at a reliable amount in the Temple, which is very critical. However, if you are that Demon Hunter or you are someone like that, you can actually run in the Eternal Woods, and I totally forgot what act that's actually in, but it's actually a really solid map to go for if you're a class like the Wizard or Necro, you can immediately start in the Temple and then get the cube after we do a Temple run, which is kind of similar, but it's just a little bit of a different order because we actually want to do a few other steps. But again, if you're someone like the Demon Hunter, for example, and you really don't have that AoE damage at the very beginning, you don't want to go in the Temple because you are going to struggle with the cockroaches. You're probably gonna have to go on a lower difficulty, and it's just gonna be miserable. So Ruins of Secheron for a lot of classes that don't have that AoE, go straight for that cube, and then go for Temple on classes like the Wizard or Necro. For here, we're gonna go for Temple, and we're gonna go through and get to level 11. That's gonna be our goal. We're gonna go through here, get as much of a kill streak as we possibly can, and get to level 11. Preferably, we get as high as we possibly can, right? So if you are able to chain a kill streak together, get to like a 400 kill streak, you just end it, leave, pick up your new weapon, and then we're gonna do the next step, Goal is, again, to get to at least level 11. And of course, once you've reached level 5 and you've got that kill streak running, you're going to swap that new weapon on. If you get to level 10 in this area, then you definitely want to swap up that new weapon as well, because there is a level 10 craft if you guys chose to go for that one in some classes, not for the Necro, at least not in terms of Scythe. But other than that, guys, we're just going to get a kill streak, again, farm it up. Hopefully you can go ahead and get something like the cursed chest. I'm not even optimizing this right now. I kind of messed it up because I was busy talking. But anyways, guys, you're just going to sit here, get as many kills in the kill streak as possible, get to level 11 as high as you possibly can, but minimum level 11. You're probably going to need about level 6 with about a 200 kill streak minimum. I'm in Torment 2. That is with Torment 2. If you guys are playing a Demon Hunter or a class that might have a little bit more difficulty clearing through everything, then you might need to go on a lower difficulty. Torment 2 is pretty high, to be honest. So, you know, keep that in mind. But we're going to end it here. I'm going to open up the chest here because it will potentially give us some items that might help us to survive later on. It did not, but now you can see we are level 13. So now that we're level 13, the next step is a couple quick steps, actually. First thing we're going to do, head over to Kulle and do some gambling. Now, what we're looking for, and the reason why we're doing this now, is because every class has some universal gambles from Kulle. The thing that we're looking for right now is Leoric's Crown. The reason why we do this first is because if we go ahead and continue on with the game, we can potentially reach a level like 20, I believe, where you can get the Broken Crown. And so now you've split your options in terms of legendary items up between the two. When you really want Leoric's Crown, because that is going to basically massively increase whatever gem slot you're going to put in that slot, and you're going to put a ruby in there to increase your XP gain. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and spend our blood shards from our challenge rift cache, and I believe we get around 950 is what I got. So we're only going to gamble for a certain amount of time, and look at that, we did not get it. You do have a small chance to get it, but you definitely want to go ahead and do it and just spend some shards to hopefully acquire your Leoric's Crown. If you do get lucky enough, then great. If you don't, then at least you get a helm slot. That's okay, right? Other than that, make sure you're salvaging all these pieces again, because you're going to need them as you approach later on in the game. Then we go ahead, and if we are a wizard or a necro or anything like that, we can go ahead and pick up our new level 11 weapon, which, even though I crafted this level 5 weapon, this is still significantly better, doubling our damage stat here, more than doubling our damage stat, which is going to be extremely, extremely nice. And obviously, you're probably going to want to get that before you come over to the salvage to minimize your trips. But now that we have our new weapon, and now that we've gambled it, next step is to go ahead and get Kunai's cube. Before we do any of that, make sure you're adjusting your abilities as you're going along and picking up the additional stats. You level up extremely quickly. You're just going to pick up stats that you can just use at all, right? And then on top of that, be sure to not overestimate your tankiness. If you're a softcore, if you die, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you're hardcore, you're definitely going to want to tune down the difficulty while going for Kunai's cube. I personally recommend dropping into hard if you want to be safe. Master is possible. You can definitely do that. But you might find yourself in some tricky situations. And so my recommendation is just to drop down to hard and then run through the ruins of Sharon without really any worry. I've done it on Master. It is a little tricky. There are some times when a yellow elite will spawn and a jailer that will jail me, or I'll get frozen and then lightning struck from above. There are some things that happen that just you cannot survive. And so I personally, again, would recommend that you go for hard difficulty for almost every class, maybe even normal if you're really struggling. But now we're going to go ahead and head to the ruins of Sharon, get our cube. And what we're going to want to do while we're going through this is to level up to at least 18. Minimum 18. You ideally want a little bit more than that, but 18 is the minimum, because after we're done getting our cube, we're going to head over and do the next part, which is for the next part of the altar. That being said, I'm going to skip ahead, grab our cube, and get to the next part. Now, in the ruins, you're looking for something called the Elder Sanctum to go to the second floor. It's oftentimes towards the north area. So we're going to head into there, and now we're looking for the cube. Cube will not be on any floor, or will not be on the first floor. It will always be on that second floor. If you guys have a bounty for the Elder Sanctum, that's always quite nice. You're going to be able to go ahead and go straight to it. It's going to actually give you an indicator. So if you are completely unsure on how to get to the cube, then you might just want to go ahead and re-roll maps until you get that bounty, which helps a little bit. But we're going to keep on going, get our cube. Keep in mind, guys, you can see we're actually tanking some damage here. You guys saw there, I did tank some damage. Again, it is not particularly super safe, even though we're on hard, which is significantly lower than Torment 2, which is what we were on before. You just got to be careful, right? We're rushing through this early part of the game. We're trying to make sure that we're being fast about what we're doing. So just be careful is what I'm saying, because you might be surprised at how much damage these guys can do. But I'll be right back with our cube. So here we are. It's usually again towards that north part of the map. I already had cube on this character already, just because I've been testing a lot of stuff. However, now that we have the cube, again, we should be level 18 at a minimum. I'm level 21. If you're not quite able to keep up kill streaks, I was able to keep up about a 300 kill streak. You might be a little bit lower level, but you should be at least 18. That's pretty likely for you to be 18. And therefore, we're on to our next part, which is acquiring the diamond so that we can get our no item level requirement perk from the altar. So the first thing that I like to do is make sure that you're in a build that can deal with some sort of boss monster. Sometimes it can be a little bit more tough than you might imagine. So just keep that in mind. I definitely like to swap down the difficulty to normal, just to keep everything perfectly safe. If you guys are not on hardcore, again, it doesn't really matter, but you might find that it could be a little bit safer if you guys don't want to worry about any of the mechanics, just to be on normal. I just drop over to normal because the XP really doesn't matter. We're here to just spam. Act 2, we're looking for the bounty to kill Zoltun, which we immediately got it, which is perfect. And the reason why we're doing this, and the reason why we're resetting the map for this specific bounty, is because it's literally, you run over here, able to enter the arena and fight Zoltun, and then immediately after we get a big chest. And for those of you that don't know, normal gem drops start dropping at level 18, which means that if we're able to kill Zoltun, we're able to go ahead and cash in on that big chest that we're getting at the end of this boss fight. And we're going to be able to go ahead and get some normal gem drops right after. Now, what we're looking for, if you got a Leoric's crown, is a ruby. But more importantly, we're looking for 2 diamonds. Most of the time, on average, you're going to get 1 diamond. So you're going to have to do this twice. And look at that. We got a Leoric's crown from Zoltun, looks like, which is pretty nice. And you can see here, we got 2 emeralds and a ruby. If you can, you're going to want to go on higher difficulty, because from what I've seen, it does increase the drop rate of some of the normal gems. So that is something to keep in mind. But look at that. We went ahead and got our legendary item. Other than that, guys, all you're going to do is refresh it and run the bounty over and over and over again until you get those 2 diamonds. So here I am. I have bumped up the difficulty too hard, just because I think I should have no issues. Even if I do get hit by a couple things, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, I do want to mention that if you guys if we're playing this during the live time, I believe the PTR actually has a XP boost. So if you guys are not level 18 by the time you get to the cube, no worries. You can go ahead and just run temple or run whatever map you're running before. So you can go ahead and get to that level 18. So you can actually do this. Again, doing this so we can get those normal gem drops. Here we go, second cache. Let's see what we got. Amethyst, Emerald, Ruby. You could get unlucky like I'm getting unlucky. Very unlucky. I've done it on normal where you get 6 gem drops. You get 5 gem drops. I've also done it on harder difficulties with less drops. But I've never done it where I did 2 in a row and didn't get a diamond. It's pretty rough. Just goes to show you there's a little bit of RNG in this. If you get lucky, you get lucky. Now, I will say, because we are grinding out the gem at the current moment. If you get a gem hoarder goblin at the beginning of the game, you can skip all of this beginning part. You can literally just go and get that item level reduction, craft away. No reason why you can't do that. So keep in mind, you can get very lucky. Literally in the first level, you can get a gem hoarder goblin and then just absolutely steamroll through this beginning part of the game. So there is a little bit of RNG in this, but generally speaking, I haven't really found a way to make it any easier or faster. You really want to get to your level 70 weapons ASAP because it just absolutely changes the game for you when you're actually able to get them. So you're going to want to get them as soon as possible. And of course, when you do, you're literally going to one-shot everything, even in T6 for quite some time. So it's pretty important that you get that. And that's what we're trying to do right now. And of course, if you get lucky and you get a ruby and a Leoric's crown, you're going to accelerate your XP rates even further to make it really, really fast for when you're trying to get to 70. Here's our third cache though. We're going to see what we end up getting. Got a couple of upgrades here. And here's the third one. And look at that. We got a diamond, topaz, and ruby. Pretty solid. But we're going to have to do another one for us to finish off here. Because we got, again, pretty unlucky. Round 3 here. Here we go. We're going to see if we finally get our final diamond. Come on, give us a diamond. There we go. I mean, you can see the RNG in this, right? I mean, we got 3, and I think 3. I think it was a 3 in a row, or 2 in a row we didn't get one, and then 1 where we got one, and each of them was 3 drops. This one ended up dropping 7, and we got a legendary. So, and we got a bunch of stuff, hitting every button here. But now that we have it, we can go ahead and salvage all these other trash items. Although the thing that we first want to do is jump over to Act 1 immediately, head on over to your artisan, your jeweler here, and you're going to go ahead and combine them into a flawless diamond. This flawless diamond, along with some crafting materials, which is again why you want to make sure you're salvaging things and not necessarily wasting crafting materials, because you actually have to use a decent amount of crafting materials for both crafting your gear, and potentially if you're playing with someone else, you can craft someone else's gear, but also you're going to use some crafting materials for getting level 2 of this altar of rights. Now you have the items have no level requirement. Boom, the game is unhinged. It's unlocked. Let's go. So next thing that we're going to do is we're going to craft some items. Okay, so we're going to head over to the blacksmith. We're going to salvage everything that we've acquired. If you guys acquired nothing, if you guys acquired a lot of stuff, doesn't matter. Go ahead and just salvage it all. We're going to train up our blacksmith all the way to level 12, which is going to be, you're going to have plenty of gold to do that. Then you're going to forge weapons. For the necro, I just pick up a scythe here, and then you're going to forge some armor. Now, as I remember, we had 126 veiled shards, 357 arcane dust, and we had 363 reusable parts. Roughly a little bit less due to the fact that we had to spend some. So let's just say 100 veiled shards. And so with that being said, we're going to go through here, just see how many we need to craft, right? So we have 15 there, so that's 15. We have the boots here, which is going to be another 15, so that's 30. Then we have bracers, which is going to be another 15, that's 45. Then we have chest armor, which is going to be another 15, that's 60. Cloak, whatever. Then we have gloves, that's 75. Helm, that's going to be 90. And then we have pants. I believe we missed the pants. So now with the pants, you may or may not have enough to actually craft pants. We're going to do it anyways. Then we're definitely not going to have enough to go ahead and craft the shoulders, most likely, unless you got decently lucky. And so what you're going to have to come over do is go to the cube, go to the convert failed crystals, or convert reusable parts, or arcane dust. Right, so you're going to go ahead and actually go ahead and drop this in here. Now keep in mind that you're going to need a common equipable item, and and rare equipable item. That's actually a mistake I just made. You're gonna want to make sure you have one of those in there. But let's say, just for the sake of testing, you're gonna keep one of them. Actually, you know what? We can not use this belt. We can actually take off our belt and drop that in there, transmute it, and boom, it's gonna turn into something random. So we're gonna get that veiled crystal. Again, if it's common equipable item, you're gonna get reusable parts. If it's a rare one, you're gonna get veiled crystals. So there you go, convert it into veiled crystals, and now we have enough crystals to go ahead and actually craft the remaining pieces of our gear. Now we can go ahead and craft the shoulder pieces, which is what I was missing. And if you're crafting for a friend here, now you have enough pieces and parts. So let's go ahead and equip all this stuff. Boom, 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 boom. And check that out. We now have 1.5 million toughness, and we can drop all these items here because they were not useful. Get these guys. Oh, don't want to salvage our weapon. And you can see the damage increase on this weapon, by the way, guys. Look at this, 9,800% damage increase. Look at that, we have 150k damage. Massive, massive increase. Then, after you've done all that, if you guys happen to have the Leoric's crown, which hopefully you guys do, you can go ahead and identify it. Again, if you're lucky enough to acquire it, I was decently lucky to acquire it. Not even the fact that I got it from the from that specific area or gamble, but if you guys get a ring, obviously equip it. You can't really craft rings from the blacksmith, so kind of unfortunate and lucky there. But now we go ahead and head over to the cube, and because we gotten the cash, we can actually go ahead and drop the Leoric's crown and extract this power. We can extract this power if we have a slot in our helmet, okay? But we do not, which means that if you guys have Leoric's crown, you're going to want to equip it and actually put a ruby in there. You can see this ruby here. We get 10% experience bonus. Now we drop it in there. So now we're getting 10%, but also increased by 99% from the Leoric's crown. Now, I'd much rather have that oftentimes because you really don't need the extra toughness. Maybe later on, you might want to swap that out, but even then, I think the XP bonus is usually worth it. And of course, if you guys have some extra gems, slotting them in for extra damage. If you guys have some slots, it's really not that bad to go ahead and slot them in as you get them. For example, here, we can get extra resistance here if we slot in our diamond, which is going to give us some extra toughness, etc., which is going to be quite nice as well. One other thing, guys, before we talk about the 18 to 70, during this crafting process, if you guys got any legendary items that might be crucial to build, that is something that you might want to extract for the cube. This can really change the skills that you're using, okay? This can massively change your build that you want to run and massively increase the damage. At the same time, if you happen to not get lucky and not get any legendary items, you can actually use some remaining Death's Breath. And although I would not recommend this doing immediately, because you potentially could get a legendary item as you're going up, you can actually upgrade rare item, which is this right here. If you guys have extra Death's Breath, extra parts, and you can see here, you might be able to upgrade into a legendary item that might be pretty solid. Okay, so you can see here, I got a Death Nova one, which is, you know, kind of okay, I guess. But point is, it's massively, potentially can be really, really good. And actually, this ended up being just a better weapon, so I'm going to equip it. But you never know what you can get. Another thing is that you might want to reroll your stats, so you can head over to the Miriam, the enchanter here. Make sure you train her up. And then you can enchant some slots out. Let's say you're looking for some extra damage or some extra life. You can always enchant some slots out. For example, here, maybe I just want to run, instead of regenerates life, I don't know, I want to go ahead and run poison skills, do more damage, etc. Depending on your build, you might want some specific stat more than another thing. Armor is going to be way more important for me right now because look at that, I got way extra toughness. Depending on your build, of course, this will change. So now that we've done all of that, we've gotten it all done, let's talk about the 18 to 70 process, or in this case, 21 to 70. All right, and by the way, guys, I don't know why I mentioned it, we got the Blood Tide Blade. I'm a little tired here. So this is actually a really great legendary item here. We can Death Nova, and that's gonna be super awesome for us for just one-shotting a couple of things. But anyways, now that we have our Leoric's crown active with our ruby in it, We have our level 70 gear. Again, if you happen to upgrade a rare item to that legendary and you get a legendary that you really, really like, you could definitely go ahead and use it. A lot, I think realistically, you're probably not going to be able to do that. Depending on if you convert some resources around, I think you're going to start to run out of Death's Breaths. And I think most of the time you're going to rather just extract that legendary item instead as you progress. And I think that's going to be overall most commonly a better choice. Okay. But now that we're level 18, right, we got our gem, we have our no level requirement, we have our full set of legendary gear or level 70 gear. We're going to back out and head immediately to T7. Immediately. And then we're going to go temple. And we're going to go, I say T7, T6. I told you guys I was tired. But we're going to head immediately to temple. Okay? Temple all the way. Almost every class is going to benefit from this one now that we have some skills, we have some damage. And we're just going to use that to farm for quite some time. Now, as you start approaching that like level 50 or so, you may want to drop down some difficulty if you're worried about dying or you don't have enough damage, or even dropping down to master, which is what I ended up doing at level 64 on my previous necro. But I didn't have challenge rift cash last time. But heading over to temple here, I just want to show you guys what this kind of looks like on T6. I'm just going to run into an enemy and just see how much damage we're taking first off. First off, I just instantly killed someone. I don't even know how I killed someone. I got thorns on, right? So I'm killing people and I'm just walking around them. We're literally at level 27 already. I haven't even done anything. I'm literally just existing around them and they're dying. I'm not taking any damage. I mean, it is literally the dumbest thing you've ever seen in your life. You just walk around, you can just one-shot everything. Like I have literally not even activated an ability here. I have a 66 kill streak. I'm literally just walking around them. My skeletons are killing them. Wow, wow, wow. What a crazy game. This literally is the most broken thing I've ever seen in my life in this game. Wow, wow, wow. I'm not even paying attention. We might lose the kill streak because I'm running into a wall. But guess what? It doesn't matter. We're literally almost already level 34. We haven't even gone through a kill streak yet. Oh boy, here we go. Just one-shotting everything. Oh, look, I actually used an ability. Oh my goodness, how crazy is that resplendent chest? I'm not even gonna loot it. Who cares? Wow, wow, wow. Let's go ahead and just keep on hitting everything. Oh my goodness, how good are we? How did we just get level 37 in like 40 seconds? It's literally the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life in this game. On a season start, guys. It is pretty nuts. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so good. You guys actually have to use abilities, and there you go. You can easily just use an ability and clear out some kills. Boom. Don't even know where I'm walking. Looks like I'm gonna go ahead and kill this boss over here. Why not? I feel like I should do that. Let's one-shot the boss real quick with 14 million damage. Make sure you're picking up the gems. Okay, cool. Break some of these urns. Now we're at a 300 kill streak, and we haven't even been like trying to keep up our kill streak. Oh, look at that. We ended it. Now we're level 50. Basically almost capped out. We're level 50. Oh, look at that. We dropped the kill streak. It doesn't even matter. Now, one thing I will note is if you're on hardcore, you definitely want to pick up your passive that makes you cheat death. Okay, that is going to be pretty nice. You also want to make sure you're managing your abilities and using the right ones, right? If you find yourself losing some damage and you feel like you need some more damage, you can change your abilities at any time. Remember, there's no rush unless you are rushing. So don't worry about it. Just do what you can, and then take a break and change your build. But this is literally the state of the game. As soon as you get these level 70 items, guys, it is ridiculous and extremely fast. We literally got to level 49 in a matter of minutes, a couple minutes. I've been recording for 4 minutes this clip here, and I think we spent about 2 minutes in the actual temple here. Oh, and look, we have a curse chest. So let's see what this looks like, guys. I may even get to level or close to level 70 here on this portion of the video, which I wasn't going to do because, again, it is literally the easiest thing in the world. But here we are. We're just going to absolutely annihilate everyone with our Death Nova and our Corpse Explosion. We can just go ahead and annihilate every single thing around here. Check this out. It is so good. I mean, to be fair, Necro is one of the best classes for leveling here. And I think it's literally just the best class based on what I've experienced. I mean, some of the other classes are really, really sad. But I mean, it is just ridiculous how fast any class is going to one-shot. It's really just a matter of, do you have an AoE skill? Great. For Demon Hunter, it's going to be your chakrams. For something like Wizard, you have Disintegrate and things like that, which is totally fine. We can loot these chests. We want to check that out. Get some gems. Nice. None of these things are going to be upgrades, so you really don't have to loot anything off the ground. It's going to be... I highly doubt anything's going to be an upgrade until you at least reach level 60. You can go and kill this bounty boss, so we can literally two-shot it. Why not? It literally just doesn't matter, guys. I mean, we just one-shot everything. And I have Death Nova, the legendary item. Now, you'll notice here, if I go ahead and just tank a hit, which I actually did not because I was too busy killing everything. If I go ahead and tank a hit, let me see if I can tank a hit from this guy. Tank a hit. You can see I'm actually starting to take some hits. Yeah, so I'm actually starting to take damage. So this is at the point, again, where I said about level 50, you might want to drop the difficulty a little bit. I still think that we're pretty safe. We have our cheat death, remember? So I'm not as scared, but you might want to drop the difficulty. Again, if you're on hardcore, you might want to be paying a little bit more attention to this. You can see I have about 1.5 million toughness. I don't even have bone armor active. I have not even clicked this skill, and look at that. Now I have 1.7 million toughness, so I'm a lot more tanky. And that's only a half power bone armor. And of course I can modify my build to give me more damage reduction and things like that. So just keep that in mind, that it's not going to be a cakewalk all the way through. It is for the first 30 levels. And then after that, it starts to get a little bit slower, and you might have to go ahead and manage your build, make sure you have that damage reduction, make sure you have the damage to do it, or more than likely, you're going to just have to drop the difficulty. You can see here, I am no longer one-shotting this guy. Even though I am very tanky, I cannot actually kill him very quickly. So that is something that you're going to want to keep in mind. And actually, he's smacking me quite hard here. So just, again, keep in mind that you're not invincible. When you reach around level 50, you're going to start to take a lot of damage. And you're also not going to deal a ton of damage compared to what you were doing before. That's very easily solved. You're going to swap down. My recommendation is swap down to T2 or T4. And then as soon as you do that, you're going to easily go ahead and just crush through a bunch of stuff again. And then after you've done that and you've crushed through a bunch of stuff, you're going to go ahead and again find yourself in a similar position where you're either too squishy or you're not doing enough damage, like you can see here. And you're going to want to drop down to T2 or Master. And then again, if you're too squishy, you're going to drop down once again down to potentially hard difficulty to finish it out. Pretty simple, but definitely extremely fun for the initial part. And you just saw there, I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous, that initial part where you just get your first level 70 gear. You literally are just the absolute god of Diablo for just a quick second. But there you go. There's the boss dead. Let's see what level we end up at with a full clear of Temple. We're level 59 from level 20. Probably gonna end up about 59 anyways. We'll see. Again, there's an XP boost here for BTR as far as I understand. So it might take you a little bit longer, but again, guys, that was literally like 6 minutes. It's really cool. It's really, really great. This was not a speed run by any means. That's going to be your 18 to 70. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you guys want to check out a speed run, I'll probably have a video uploaded to the channel here in a bit about my speed run to 60 or to 70. I don't know why I keep saying 60. But I want to go over really quickly the pros and cons of using the Challenge Rift Cache. Let's be honest with the pros. The beginning of the game is a lot more lenient because you can go in and craft things, you can go in and buy things. You can make the first leveling process extremely, extremely easy, which is really, really nice. It makes everything very streamlined. As soon as you hit 18, you can instantly craft everything you want. You don't have to worry about managing your resources properly or continuously going back to the base and buying upgrades for your blacksmith because you don't have any gold. I know because I've done it without Challenge Rift Cache 1 to 70, and it took me about 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours. You can see here from when I was 18 to get to 60, it took me about 45 minutes without a Challenge Rift Cache. Here, it took me about 6 minutes. So it cuts a ton of time off. That's a major, major pro. And of course, it's fun. The cons, there's really only one. You don't have a Challenge Rift Cache anymore. And for those of you that don't know, Challenge Rift Cache is used as an upgrade for the altar at level 15. So if you're someone that's planning on getting to that point and pushing your altar crazy hard before you get the second Challenge Rift Cache, and again, I believe this is on Monday, which is like 3 days after or 2 days after the season start, then you might want to consider maybe not using your Challenger of Cash. But even then, I think there's still some merit to going for the Challenger of Cash just to speed up and make that early game process so much easier. With that being said, guys, that's going to wrap up the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know these ones are a little bit longer, but I want to make sure I'm not trying not to forget anything. And I do want to show you guys a realistic example. Again, sometimes I die just testing around. I'm not fully focused right now, but if you guys are playing on the main game and the season's out, definitely make sure you're being a little bit more safe and less careless than I am right now. But other than that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd love it if you guys dropped a sub on the channel. Like this video. See you all tomorrow for more Diablo 3 content.